So then I trained for her a third time, trained my ass off, and I knocked her out clean on our third fight. Almost like the wind, it's like punching wind right down through like the jaw area, and she went down.
What happened in your Muay Thai career that got you as the first sanctioned female MMA fighter?
I was really good at it. I picked it up. And there was a bunch of us, So it just, people showed up to see me fight. And the more they showed up to see me fight, the bigger the cards got, the bigger the venues got. And the more, if my name was, at the top of the list, I worked myself up in those 14 fights to be somebody people paid to watch. And that's, I went up against the, very few girls that I'd seen fight before. I remember there's this one girl before I even had one fight, and her name was Christina Martin, I believe. And she came in like braids, and I just thought, oh my gosh, like that is insane. Like she's in my weight class, and I was like, I had like maybe one fight, maybe. I was like, oh my gosh, like how am I ever going to work my way up to that? And she worked out at Chuck Liddell's camp. And I was like, that's going to be tough whenever I get there. Well, I got there quite quickly. Master Shadi used to try to like fib on our records so that we could fight people with bigger records. So he said we had 10 fights when over here I have 2. And so they do that in Thailand all the time. And so I forget what number of fight she was. I showed up to a smoker. A smoker's where you show up to a gym, you don't know who you're going to fight, and you just end up fighting whoever's close to your weight class, no matter like the record.
Mm-hmm.
And I showed up and I was like, oh, why is she here? Like she was just headlining at like one of the tiny casinos, and I was like, okay. And, you just show up and you fought whoever was there. And I ended up fighting her. And I ended up, they called it an exhibition, but I ended up beating her in that fight. And she didn't expect that. And so then our next fight was to take place at the Stardust, which is now imploded in Las Vegas, the Stardust Hotel. We used to fight there. That was a big show. And I'd say that one was a draw. That was my one draw. Of course, it was with that. If you're not overwhelmingly beating someone, you always feel like you're losing, But when I watched the tape back, I feel like, okay, yeah, it's a decent draw. But she hit real hard. She kicked real hard. And so then I trained for her a third time. And I trained my ass off. And I knocked her out clean on our third fight. I knocked her out like almost like the wind. It's like punching wind right down through like the jaw area. And she went down. And that was my trilogy fight.
Damn.
Yeah. I went from looking up to her to fighting her 3 times. And yeah, that was a special one.
What did that feel like for you to KO her?
Well, it was just the whole fighting, looking across the cage at someone and knowing that at that moment, it doesn't matter who's in the crowd. It really doesn't even matter. Like it's who you are at that moment. You're bringing everything you trained for, everything you ate, your mentality, your spirituality, how much you believe in yourself. If you've let your, boyfriend at the time get into your head, or if you've got, you just bring all of that of who you are in that moment to that moment. And you're looking at across at this person, knowing that this person is bringing that too. And they're going to try to hurt you as badly as possible to make you quit. So that's a very special, weird, intense moment between 2 people that everything else goes away. And it's addictive, I'd say.
I mean, I'm not a big MMA person. I don't follow it, but it seems to me you were very much a pioneer for women within the sport. Obviously, you were the first sanctioned fighter, and you still have a ton of respect to this day. In fact, I saw something that said Ronda Rousey would be the only person that she would come out of retirement to fight. I don't know if that's a compliment or
It's a
but
huge compliment.
yeah.
It's a huge compliment. I was the first sanctioned bout in Nevada. Then I was the first people that the Showtime Elite XC signed, first female that they signed, and it gave me a whole $10,000. And I was like, oh my gosh, now I can really train. Yeah, I don't have to worry about, and I was bartending at the same time. And then I was the first one on CBS. They did a documentary between me and a different fighter named Elena Maxwell. So I was right out in the beginning of making it popular so that people like Ronda Rousey, and she gives me credit for this, which is a beautiful thing. I've never had any problems with her. She said that, had she not seen me fight, she would have not known it was possible for women to do this. And so I might have not gotten to that UFC walkout, but I definitely through my career felt like I was blessed enough to be the person to break down those doors. And that's just, I used to say, they used to call me the face of MMA, and I just was like, I'm too young in my career for all of this, I have the Muay Thai fights, but like I'm just like everybody else. Why you're pushing me up so fast, And before you know it, on your 8th fight, you're fighting Cyborg, and you're not ready to fight Cyborg, but there's nobody else to fight. And they built this thing up, and you're like, well, I'm not going to not fight her, because my whole entire career was fighting the people that was put in front of me. So I was determined.
Man, no fear.
All fear, but also
You overcame it.
yeah, because doesn't it feel bad when you let that fear rule you? That's where you lose that's where it starts taking chunks out of your soul.
Have you ever been that person?
There's things I could have done better in my life, as far as like, I feel like I grew up a little bit immature just because I was fighting and acting. I feel like I was a little bit reckless, like I can definitely put back some whiskey, I can definitely act like a big old child. Well, I haven't now for years, but there was that one wedding that I stole the golf cart, so there was that. I felt bad about that one. I'm sure I gave my family plenty of they see the real me. I'm sure they were worried to their necks for me, because I was just had this big career flying around the world, meeting people. But I always, 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 I was always able never to sell myself out for a job or, any of that. It was more of a...
Maybe you were a hellion, but it doesn't sound like you were overcome by fear.
No, maybe not.
So, how did the MMA...
Oh, the Cyborg fight, I was afraid. The Cyborg fight, I had an adrenaline dump. A massive one, to where I couldn't feel my legs. I don't know if you...
Really?
Have you ever had like that adrenaline where you lose some feeling of like how to work your arms? Like all of a sudden your arms aren't working?
I believe they just call that freezing in the moment.
Yeah. So I've had twice when that happened. One with my legs and one with my arms. The first one with my arms, and I was doing a K1 fight, and fight fans don't know about that, but like they used to have this production that was kind of like a kickboxing more than Muay Thai. It was K1. And I wasn't supposed to win this fight. But they Master Chan is in the back. He's like, baby, okay. Like 1, 2, 1, 2. And I was like, sir.
Oh man.
My arms aren't working, sir. My arms aren't working. And he's like, okay, baby, all right. And he pats you on the back and he's like, out you go. And I'm like walking out, which is just a weird feeling of, I can't move my arms. Are they going to start working? And then I go in between the ropes, go up and we do the face off, and I'm like, they're still not working. And then I go back to the corner and I'm just like, how am I going to fix this problem? Like my brain isn't attaching to my arms. And then I went out there and had a hell of a fight. I won.
Wow.
They worked. But in my cyborg fight, I lost the lower part of my body. My legs, they could walk, but they weren't walking. I was floating. I was having like an outer body experience, looking down on myself and like not feeling like I could control what was happening. And I felt no pain. I just felt like I couldn't control what I was doing. I was confused. And so it frustrates me, those feelings. It's like, it feels like being on top of a building. Like those nightmares that I have nightmares where it's like I'm on top of the building, I'm holding on, but I can't tell my hands to hold. And they'll just let go because I can't make my hands hold. And that freaks me out.
No matter where you're watching Shawn Ryan Show from, if you get anything out of this, please like, comment, subscribe, and most importantly, share this everywhere you possibly can. And if you're feeling extra generous, please leave us a review on Apple and Spotify podcasts.